Okay, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you everybody for taking some time out of this busy schedule on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon here in Toronto. I just want to take a quick second and thank everybody for joining. This is our continuation of My Blue Umbrella's Under the Umbrella webinar series. And today we're continuing with our baseline security topic today, which will be five key ways hackers prey on targets. So as we get going, I just want to give you a little bit of insight as to who My Blue Umbrella is. So at My Blue Umbrella, and for our customers out there, I want you to know that our mantra is to deliver simplicity and drive growth. We've been founded in 1995, with current offices in Toronto, down at Liberty Village, as well as north of Toronto in Concord, with currently a staff of 34 and growing. And we serve a wide range of clients, not only throughout the GTA here in Toronto, but also nationally. My Blue Umbrella is a trusted business advisor, and we help our clients achieve their strategic goals through an IT lens. My Blue Umbrella's business process automation has become essential for all strategic forward-thinking companies as it enhances organizations' management, lets companies make more informed business decisions, and increases the output while reducing costs. I'd like to introduce to you My Blue Umbrella's CEO, Michael Contento. Michael Contento is not only our CEO, but an entrepreneur that lives by the mantra of deliver simplicity and drives growth for our customers.
Thanks, Brian. This is great. I'm happy to be with you guys once again for our second webinar. As we continue to navigate through through this period, we're going to continuously have some webinars every 2 weeks. This one in particular is about cybersecurity, which we touched a little upon last week. We're going to go in more depth. Before we start the presentation, I do want to clarify two aspects. This presentation is really catered to a very high level perspective on cybersecurity. It's also the slides have a lot of depth to them. This was designed purposely as takeaways. We'll be sharing the deck with the audience probably most likely later this afternoon, if not tomorrow morning. So we'll speak very high level, and once you get the deck, if you feel you have further questions after reading the material, you can always reach out to us. So why cybersecurity? Why is this such a big topic? Why is it so prevalent that we make this top of mind for all of our clients today? With COVID-19 navigating through this period, it's become a very hot topic, considering the many vulnerabilities that come with working from home. Collaboration services, we recently heard with Zoom getting breached, certain RDPs, remote desktop protocols. It's become a very top of mind consideration for all ITs, big or small, to address with their current user base. We're going to go into a bit of depth why. The key thing is right now we're going through a new era of working from home. As of this week, we still are unsure when exactly the new norm of going back to the office is going to happen. Some speculations is early summer, some speculation is late summer. So we have to welcome the concept of working from home and what that comes with it. What comes with it is an increase in attacks when it comes to cybersecurity. There's many campaigns that have been released, mostly email spam and malwares and ransomwares due to COVID-19. Using it as a entry point to end users to click on some malicious acts. Working from home brings many risks. One of the key things is remote desktop is very popular with our user groups, which a lot of hackers are playing on. This has been a recent update through our cybersecurity team, where a lot of brute force attacks have launched through RDP. which has caused a lot, currently already due to COVID-19, a lot of breaches within a client base here in Ontario. Ransomware is one of the biggest worries we at Umbrella have, as is probably the most malicious in our perspective. Security tips using collaboration tools is very important. High level, we really want to bring to light some of the factors, what we can do quickly to ensure working from home is somewhat secure. First is the VPN connection, the idea of end-to-end encryption, two-factor or multi-factor authentication, which is a separate application that will allow you to log on to your system, and enforcing passwords through all applications, whether collaboration systems or RDP systems. That complex passwords are enabled. I want to share a quick graph why this is such a big hot topic for IT departments. As you can see, from 2001 to 2019, the increase of cybersecurity spend has been not spend on the sense of investment, but malware payouts is currently 3.5 billion in the US alone. It's just in the last 3 years at it doubled from 1.487 to 3.5 in less than 2 years of just ransom payouts. It's a very hot topic and it's going to continue to be one of the most vulnerable tasks that we have to protect in IT. As I said, this is very high level. I just want to make sure we're all on the same baseline. And I want to start off by really, what is internet beyond surfing and emailing? I want to, as talking to certain clients alone this week, bring to light that all of our computers, all of our nodes, everything at home on the World Wide Web are interconnected one way or another, especially if they're not on a VPN or some sort of secure point-to-point. Your computer at home essentially is connected to millions of devices using the World Wide Web. It can go from your VoIP phone to your security system to your phones. So it's important that we kind of highlight when we mean how you're connected beyond surfing and emailing is one big wide network, open network. Last week we talked about IoT devices and how you're protecting at home. I want to bring that to light once again. A lot of people think their breach is really their computer. Today, the computer is probably the least vulnerable. Hackers know that we put software on there. Hackers know that we try our best to protect with multi-factor authentication with certain applications. Working from home, we introduce a lot of other nodes. Anything that's connected to World Wide Web, as the slide earlier. It could be a light bulb, a socket. It could be your doorbell, your Ecobee thermostat. These are all nodes that hackers will prey on. So what's being transferred through the internet? The last two slides, once again, is we're trying to bring to light that everything that's connected to the World Wide Web is essentially a digital footprint that can be tracked by hackers, that can be understood, the data can be breached, and any of these nodes, devices, has an opportunity for a door to be opened into your home network. The stance that Umbrella has been taking for the last couple of years is, although there's incredible technologies that Umbrella implements, both hardware and a software perspective, our number one defense, we truly believe, is more than just technology. It's user training and user understanding. The ever-changing number of devices connected to your network continues to change weekly. We introduce new devices, new nodes to both your home network and your office. So it's extremely important that it's not just about the technology. It's really about training users and making users understand or aware of the potential threats and how to navigate through them. We built a holistic approach of 7 phases. This is our cyber package that we offer to our clients. It is relevant both at a home office and a work office. Essentially, first and foremost, you need to understand your mapping. What is really connected? What nodes do you have? what's connected to the big globe, the World Wide Web. Understanding how your data is being transmitted is key. Second is we start doing the prevention. That's the technology. Do we have the right firewall? Do we have the right applications? Do we understand how we're trying to prevent the hackers to come in? The next one is inception, and essentially what we're focusing there is not only the protection, is the what ifs. Do we have the right backup? Do we have the right BCP plan? What happens if something did break through? Are we ready to navigate through the breach? Our fourth is management, is understanding truly how these nodes are being managed. A lot of people feel that, oh, I have AV installed on my computer, so I should be good forever. Proper management of the infrastructure is key, and understanding how it's being monitored and updated is just as important as the technology itself. And mostly is our training, our user awareness. End-use focuses on technology is incredible, but our focus on training our users is even more paramount. We really try to teach users on how to navigate, once again, how to click and not click, or understand certain emails on possible vulnerabilities to the network. The last two is really quick, is audit. It's like changing your oil in your car. Yearly, you should have a cybersecurity audit. That's a penetration test, some vulnerability testing. Technology rapidly changes, so does your security, and having an annual test on possible vulnerabilities that happen throughout the year is absolutely key for cybersecurity. The last one is we focus on remediation or assumption is the worst case scenario. If you did get hacked and they have your backup as well, how quickly can we get your environment restored? Do we have the proper secondary backups or BCP planning? This whole audit includes a very in-depth analysis on making sure that you're ready for cybersecurity. So what is the best security? As always, is end user training. It's something we're going to touch upon today on a few slides. We're very adamant on getting each user understanding the common threats, most of the common threats. And just by that, we saw a dramatic decrease of 40% of breaches within our own clientele. In short, cybersecurity. So high level, it's my words is a business. Today's cybersecurity became a complete line of business. There's some hackers out there that are becoming extremely profitable on holding company data ransom, are getting a very large payout. And it is very important that every business, large and small, understand that this isn't going away. It might taper down a little, but it's become a full line of business that we have to protect ourselves in the future. The ultimate goal is for hackers is to get personal information, confidential information that they can ransom or use or sell. There's a whole separate internet-based application called the dark web, where once your data is breached and they have your credit card information, your personal information, if they're not holding you personally ransom, it's very possible that they're selling your data on the dark web. I'm going to go into some keywords and definitions, and then we're going to go into a bit more detail of each one of these. It's important that users understand these words, so every time they're reading an article or hearing a bit of news, they can relate from understanding the words. Keywords are malware, trojans, viruses, social engineering, which is one of the biggest one, phishing, spear phishing, ransomware, and bots. We're going to go in a little bit of depth of each one. One of the most dangerous strategies in my perspective is social engineering. Essentially, social engineering is all about hackers trying to fool the users in multiple ways to click on malicious links, pictures, hidden executables to take over your environment and or grab information. The type of social engineering, some of you guys heard of phishing, and essentially phishing is emails pretending that they're reputable sources, trying to understand, get users to understand that it's a legitimate email, and once you click on the legitimate email, it essentially downloads applications and information on information on your system that they control your system and or your data to hold ransom or sell on the dark web. Spear phishing is essentially same as phishing, but it masks users instead. One in particular, it happened to me personally, where my wife sent me an email. It seemed very real. The language was there. The only difference is this particular email, I think she signed off as she loves me, and I think she stopped saying that about 10 years ago. It's just a small joke there, sorry. Essentially, I was about to click on the link, but it was fairly accurate in what my wife was going to say. But once I hovered over the link, which we're going to go over shortly, I noticed that it was a spear phishing email trying to get me to click the link. Phishing, the common thing, I get these all the time. The phone calls that it's my bank or someone leaving voicemails to call because it's CRA saying your account's been breached. This rarely happens. The government won't usually do things like this, but it's also a common social engineering attack. I'm going to go into a bit more depth of several other attacks. Ransomware is the one we in IT are most afraid of. It's when they completely confiscate the entire network of our clients, their data, holds them handcuffed for some transaction of Bitcoins payout, where once we pay them, they'll release the security keys to unlock the data. Very common. Last year alone has been a wide success on hackers. Has generated quite a lot in the billions of transactions. Open Wi-Fi, another very big vulnerable area. One I like the most is I attended a security seminar where there was a Starbucks within the hotel. They had a Starbucks Wi-Fi during the seminar. And essentially what the security keynote did is that they set up their own private Wi-Fi called Starbucks, which was closer, and we all thought it was the Starbucks in the hotel, but essentially it was his briefcase that we were logging into, and he was taking our data. So open Wi-Fi's, free Wi-Fi's, hotspots are very dangerous these days to join, unless you know for a fact is indeed Starbucks' Wi-Fi. Spyware, malware, hackers, once again, downloading applications to spy on you, taking vulnerable information to sell on dark web, zero-day exploits. Really, it's they prey on one sort of vendor that they attack all in one force and take down certain vendors all at the same time in one window. Where if you have all your security under one sort of vendor, they prey on that and bring down that particular vendor for a small window of opportunity to take information. Mobile, same idea. A lot of people feel that their personal phones cannot be breached or they're not as vulnerable as a computer. That's inaccurate. These days, mobile phones, banking Trojans are very common and have been wreaking a lot of havoc in security. These are a bit more in-depth, DNS attacks and botnet. I won't go through them. These are the ones you can read afterwards, but this is more for the IT department, which they would know a bit more in depth. Same as DOS attacks and SQL injections. So steps in handling, this is where we're trying to high level help our users understand what they can do. When it comes to most phishing emails, Most applications today, depending on what version of Outlook or mail app you're using, it gives you the ability to hover over the link that they're asking you to click on, and you would see if the links are the same. Most of the time when you hover over a link, it'll show you a completely different address where you then have to use your discretion and fundamentally understand if it makes sense that it's going to that particular address. In short, what we do most of the time is, for the most part, don't click on any live links. The approach to links is really all the time, as I just said, I would call if a colleague of mine or a friend of mine is sending me a link. These days, it's easier just to give a quick call and ask if they actually sent the email and if they themselves added a link or if they just forwarded a link. It's probably the safest way of doing it. Most of these emails come with security breaches through JPEGs or logos or any downloadable pictures. What hackers are using these days are using images, clickable images, to load applications. So images and links should be used equivalent, where you call your user, call a friend, ask if that's really them sending the information. For the most part, don't trust senders' information in email. I know that sounds horrible, and it might be, to some, it might be an extreme. This happened literally to me this morning. I got an email from an outside source. The email was absolutely incredible. It was extremely tempting to click on the Excel spreadsheet they sent. They said all the right wording. I still don't know if it's a bad email or not, but I'm taking the safer approach where I will not click on the email, I will not open the email, nor will I open the attachment. I'm calling the security guys in my umbrella. We've been sourcing if the information is appeared to be safe, and at that time, if we're feeling relatively confident that the information is safe, then I will click on the email. But for the most part, today, the best measure is don't trust any email. It's extremely important that you report suspicious emails. The way you report suspicious emails is not forwarding emails. For the most part, if you can do some screen caps or print screens and take pictures and send them to your IT department or a colleague to understand if it's real, that's the best method. Never enter personal information. It's rare that anyone these days are going to ask for personal information. CRA themselves are now attaching themselves to your banking information. So it's rare that you put personal information in a website. So essentially, we're trying to flatten cybersecurity crime. It's not going to go away. It's here to stay. We have to accept it. The sooner we accept cybersecurity crime and understand that it's vulnerable to big and small these days, is the faster we can flatten the ability to navigate through the internet. It's important, as I said, that you continuously report spams. You report to your IT department anything that looks suspicious, and contact your IT department if you feel that you did do something that you felt a little uncomfortable with. Best thing to do, if you ever click on something that you do feel uncomfortable, unplug your computer immediately from the network or shut down your system immediately to help IT gauge the situation. For our clients on the call, you call My Blue Umbrella immediately so we can take steps to make sure that it wasn't a breach. For a program that we're doing at My Blue Umbrella, before we open up to some questions, is we do have a cybersecurity platform, the 7 phases of assessment. Right now, we understand that spending money is a bit hard with the navigation of COVID-19. We typically would charge a $900 assessment. We cut it down to $349 for us to assess every phase of cybersecurity. And we're also going to defer that $349 payment for 90 days. so you're not set with a bill right away. Essentially, we look at your mapping, we look at your prevention, inception, your backup, and we give you recommendations to bring them to a cybersecurity level, a standard level. That concludes our high-level cybersecurity information. We will be sharing this, as mentioned, through a PDF, through email in a PDF, and sharing our video for you to read more in depth. But I open for some questions and answers.
Well, while we do wait, I do have a question that has come in, Michael, that perhaps maybe we could start off with. It is anonymous, and the first question is, what is the difference between a threat, a vulnerability, and a risk?
A simple way is a threat is from someone being targeted. A vulnerability or weakness in the organization, it's going back to the phishing versus the vulnerability of breaking just to grab your data. So a threat will be more a targeted versus a vulnerability would be more of a weakness in your organization. A risk also is essentially like the vulnerability, is just identifying where your weaknesses in the network are, high level that is. For more IT definitions, we can get into it in a one-to-one discussion with the IT people.
You mentioned phishing attack. Can you give any examples of any phishing attacks that are common, or I know you mentioned possibly one earlier? Yeah,
some of the examples would be, someone sending an email that contains a malicious link. So, someone disguising themselves as Canada Post and saying your package wasn't delivered, and wants you to click on the link to see if it's the right package.
Here's another question: private browsing. Can internet service providers see the online activities of their subscribers when those subscribers are using a private browsing?
Can they? No. So essentially, if you want to hide all your activity from your service provider, you should consider a VPN.
So we have a question from Kate. So with all online purchasing going on right now these days, and even more now with people are at home, are shoppers more at risk than normal?
I would say it's not that shoppers are more at risk. I think because of all the online shopping or the increased usage on your home network, I would say everyone equally is at risk because we're just using our home network much more than we used to. So most hackers fundamentally understand not many people have a firewall at home, have the right protection at home. So they're preying on home users, period. Whether you shop more or just you're surfing more, it's really the open node that they're more concerned about. Entering your credit card information, I would say I would be weary of websites buying certain products off websites that you don't know. Fake websites are very common. Another great way of hacking is they will set up a domain that looks very similar, but they'll change one of the letters in the website, and they'll mimic the website pretty much 99% the same, and the experience will be the same, and you end up putting your information and making a transaction on a URL that's off by one letter. So you need to be very careful for those online shoppers that you're indeed at the right website that you're shopping on.
Anonymous question comes in here. What does the HTTP // at the beginning of a URL denote, as opposed to HTTPS //
Great question. It's a little more technical, but essentially is you're applying a security certificate to your URL. So you'll notice some, and Google does a great job today showing which websites are secure and not secure. When you attach an SSL certificate to your website, it creates that S at the end of HTTP, which indicates that that URL went through the process of securing making their website a little more secure to navigate through.
Oh, you know what? I think you may have touched upon it, but one other question here. It pertains to the public Wi-Fi network. So, for instance, if you're at an airport or at a Starbucks, I know you mentioned that earlier, and it requires a password to gain access. Is it generally safe to use that network for sensitive activities such as, online banking or shopping?
In this particular case, I would side on the extreme. I strongly recommend not to use any public Wi-Fi. These days, I tend not to even use a Starbucks Wi-Fi anymore. What I do is I tether my phone, use my phone's network to do any information that I have to. If you have to do banking, and you can't wait, I would definitely tether your phone. If you can wait, just wait till you're back on a private network, either at home or at the office, to do your banking.
Here's another one. Is there a benefit of setting up a physical firewall on your home network during this period? Oh.
Absolutely. I wouldn't say just during this period. I believe essentially if you are working from home or you're constantly doing banking from home, today internet is a part of our life. Most of the applications we use at home, whether it's a Wi-Fi based TV, smart TV, a thermostat, it's all data within our network that's being open to the World Wide Web. And if you're touching on certain applications like banking from home, you definitely should have a firewall. Now that we are touching companies' data, it just makes it a little more paramount to initiate some sort of security parameters from your home base.
So Kate asked a question that's at times she notices that on Teams and Outlook, her status changes without me changing it often.
My knee-jerk answer is going to be, Kate, your Teams is connected to your calendar. If there's certain things within your calendar, a phone call, a meeting, or even some personal time you put in there, it's going to adapt to what your calendar says and automatically start changing your status according to your calendar. I'm not 100% sure. It could be turned off if that's what you're looking for, or you can permanently have it on a certain status, but it does associate your status based on your calendar appointments. And once again, this topic is probably one of the hardest topics to have on a webinar. There's a lot of depth of information, and how we try to communicate or articulate in a way that everyone understands equally. Is our biggest challenge at My Blue Umbrella. It's a continuous growth for us to teach users in a way that they understand, to essentially help them navigate through cybercrime. It's very important that once we share the PDF and the video, if you feel you have any questions at all, feel free to reach out to us. And we'll do what we can to explain in more depth on how to protect yourself from cybersecurity. Thank you very much, everyone, for your time today. I know we're taking your lunchtime. Once again, if you have any concerns or questions or any feedback, feel free to reach out to us at sales@mbu.ca. And until 2 weeks from now, I hope you guys all have a safe journey through this navigation of COVID-19. Thank you very much.